Today, I want to talk to you about one of the most powerful journeys you can ever embark on. The journey of rebuilding yourself. Life often throws us unexpected challenges, and sometimes we find ourselves in situations we never imagined. It's in these defining moments that we must pause, reflect, and recognize that something needs to change. Rebuilding yourself starts with the brave and often difficult decision to acknowledge that change is necessary. This is your turning point, a moment that calls for honest self-reflection and a clear understanding of where you are versus where you want to be. In a world overwhelmed by noise, responsibilities, and pressure, we often lose sight of our true selves. We convince ourselves that everything is fine, or that we can keep enduring. But real transformation begins when we find the courage to look inward and face the emotions we've been pushing away. Recognizing the need for change isn't just about spotting what's wrong, it's about understanding the deeper causes of our discontent. Whether it's dissatisfaction at work, unhappiness in a relationship, or feeling stuck in negative thought patterns, acknowledging those feelings is the first step. It's okay to feel lost. What matters is how you respond. Change begins the very moment you admit, deep within your heart, that something in your life must shift. It's not when someone else tells you, it's not when circumstances scream for transformation. It's when you, alone with your thoughts, look at your reality and whisper to yourself, "This isn't who I'm meant to be." Acknowledging the need for change is one of the most powerful decisions a person can make. It's the first and perhaps most courageous step in any transformation. It doesn't come from weakness. It comes from strength, an inner voice that refuses to settle, a whisper that grows louder with every disappointment, every unrealized dream, every moment you feel disconnected from the life you're living. It's the internal discomfort that tells you something isn't aligned. Something must evolve. This moment doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it arrives quietly, after a long day sitting alone or staring into the ceiling at 2 a.m. It could come after another argument in a toxic relationship, another day wasted in a job that drains your spirit, or another moment of staring in the mirror, wondering where the real you went. And when that moment arrives, you're given a choice. You can ignore it, push it down and pretend nothing's wrong, or you can pause, breathe and say, "Enough. I want more than this." The reason this step is so critical is because nothing can change until you first recognize the necessity of change. You can't fix what you refuse to admit is broken. Denial may feel safer, but it keeps you stuck. You may tell yourself things are fine or not that bad, but fine is not fulfillment. Not that bad is not joy. True growth demands honesty, and then honesty begins with facing where you are and where you want to be. To acknowledge the need for change is to stop running from yourself. It's looking past the distractions, the numbing habits, and the external noise and finally confronting the truth you've been avoiding. It's not about self-judgment, it's about self-awareness, it's about recognizing that you're capable of more and deserving of better. This recognition can bring discomfort, fear, and even sadness, but those emotions are not enemies, they are signals. They are reminders that you're alive, that your soul is still calling out for alignment, for purpose, for something deeper. Let that discomfort guide you, not paralyze you, because on the other side of that uneasy truth lies potential. The moment you admit something must change, your life begins to open, possibility enters, hope breathes again. Acknowledging the need for change doesn't solve everything overnight, but it activates everything. It starts the momentum, it awakens your desire for growth, and with that desire comes action. One thought leads to a choice. One choice leads to a step. One step leads to a path. And before you know it, that single moment of self-honesty becomes the foundation for a life that reflects your true values, your authentic self, and your highest potential. That's how change begins, not outside of you, but within. Growth is not born in ease. It doesn't arise when everything feels safe and familiar. True growth begins the moment you step away from comfort and choose courage instead. It's when you decide to move forward, even when everything inside you wants to cling to what you know. We often build lives around routines and habits, staying close to what feels predictable. We choose jobs that feel secure but uninspiring, relationships that are stable but unfulfilling, lifestyles that are easy but not enriching. Why? Because comfort is safe, it's familiar, it gives the illusion of control. But that same comfort can slowly become a cage. It can hold you back from who you're meant to become. Choosing courage over comfort is choosing to honor your growth more than your fear. It's daring to believe that what lies ahead is greater than what you're leaving behind, even when you can't fully see it yet. The unknown will always feel risky. That's why so many people stay where they are. They tolerate pain because it's familiar. They stay in places that no longer nourish their soul because change feels terrifying. But every dream you've ever had, every transformation you admire, every success story you hear, it all started with one brave step into uncertainty. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. It's waking up with doubt in your mind and still choosing to move forward. It's hearing the inner voice that says you're not ready and responding with I'm going anyway. Courage means saying yes to growth even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. It's making hard decisions, walking away from people, patterns, or environments that no longer serve you. It's taking the leap when your heart knows it's time, even if your mind tries to convince you to wait a little longer. The truth is, nothing extraordinary ever happens inside the comfort zone. Staying safe may give you temporary peace, but it robs you of long-term fulfillment. Growth is uncomfortable. It will challenge your identity, disrupt your routines, and stretch your limits. You will feel exposed, uncertain, and vulnerable. But in that discomfort is where your true self is born. Every time you do something that scares you, your confidence expands. Every time you make a bold move, you discover strength you didn't know you had. Courage leads to clarity. As you move through fear, you begin to see what you're capable of. You realize that fear is not a stop sign, it's a signal that you're moving towards something meaningful. And with each act of bravery, you become more aligned with your purpose. You stop settling, you stop apologizing for wanting more. You start choosing a life that reflects your values, not just your fears. The journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Growth doesn't promise comfort, but it promises transformation. And the person you become through that transformation is someone stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled than you ever imagined. So when life gives you the choice between staying safe or stepping forward, choose courage. Every time. Self-awareness is the starting point for any meaningful change. Without it, we move through life on autopilot, reacting instead of responding, repeating patterns instead of rewriting them. It's easy to drift, to go through the motions day after day without ever truly understanding why we feel unfulfilled, anxious, or stuck. But once we stop and turn inward, everything begins to shift. Self-awareness shines a light on the hidden parts of ourselves, the beliefs we carry, the wounds we've avoided, the fears we've buried, and when we become aware, we gain the power to choose differently. Reflection is the first step in this process. It requires us to pause and examine our lives honestly, not just what's happening around us, but what's happening within us. What thoughts run through our minds every day? What emotions are we suppressing? What behaviors do we repeat even when we know they are not serving us? These questions aren't easy, but they're essential, because the more we understand ourselves, the more we can align our actions with our values, our words with our truth, and our goals with our purpose. Journaling can be a powerful tool for cultivating self-awareness. When we put our thoughts on paper, we give form to what's usually hidden in our subconscious. We start to notice patterns, recurring emotions, habits, and stories we tell ourselves. We gain insight into what triggers us, what motivates us, and what holds us back. Over time, journaling becomes a mirror, showing us not just who we've been, but who we're becoming. It allows us to track our growth and process emotions we may not even realize we're carrying. Mindful introspection is another key element. This isn't about judging ourselves or overthinking. It's about observing without attachment, paying attention to our thoughts and emotions as they arise. When we become mindful, we create space between our thoughts and our actions. We stop reacting out of old wounds or fears. Instead, we begin to respond from a place of clarity and calm. This awareness creates emotional freedom, and it helps us break free from the habits and beliefs that keep us small. The journey of rebuilding yourself starts and ends with self-awarenesses. It is the compass that guides every decision you make. Without it, you may work hard, but you'll always feel misaligned. With it, even the smallest actions carry purpose and power. Self-awareness also helps us develop compassion for ourselves and others. When we understand our own struggles and patterns, we stop being so quick to judge. We start offering ourselves grace, and that grace extends outward. Developing self-awareness takes time and intentionality. It means being willing to look at parts of yourself you might not like. But the goal isn't perfection. The goal is understanding. Awareness leads to choice, and choice leads to change. When you know yourself, you can love yourself. And when you love yourself, you can grow without fear. That is why self-awareness isn't just a foundation of growth, it is the key that unlocks it. One of the most important yet difficult steps in the journey of rebuilding yourself is letting go of toxic influences. These can come in many forms. People, habits, environments, or even thought patterns that no longer serve your growth. When you begin to change, evolve, and pursue a better version of yourself, not everyone or everything around you will support that transformation. Some people will cling to the older version of you because it benefits them, or because they fear the distance your growth will create. But the truth is, you cannot grow in a space that constantly drains your energy. Toxic influences are subtle. They don't always scream negativity. They often disguise themselves in the form of passive comments, constant doubt, manipulative guilt, or unspoken resentment. These influences chip away at your self-esteem, cloud your clarity, and make you question your worth. Over time, they become roadblocks to your transformation. Holding on to relationships or environments that pull you backward will always cost you your peace. And peace is the foundation for progress. Letting go does not mean you're heartless. It means you're choosing your well-being. It means recognizing that some connections are meant to be lessons, not lifelines. Growth often requires distance from people who discourage your dreams, belittle your efforts, or thrive off your insecurity. These relationships might be long-standing, familiar, or even emotionally significant, but if they constantly leave you feeling diminished, anxious, or unworthy, they are not part of your path forward. Surrounding yourself with people who support your transformation isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. You need people who see your potential, who challenge you to rise, and who celebrate your progress. These individuals don't compete with your light, they help you shine brighter. A strong support system uplifts you in moments of doubt and reminds you of your strength when you forget. They don't try to control your journey. They walk beside you and offer encouragement without judgment. Letting go can be painful. It may involve grief, confusion, and even loneliness. But what you lose in comfort, you gain in clarity. You begin to hear your own voice again. You reconnect with your truth. And in that space, new connections are made, relationships rooted in respect, inspiration, and shared growth. You begin to attract people who are aligned with the person you're becoming, not the version of you they are trying to keep. This process also applies to internal toxicities, negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, and outdated stories you've been telling yourself. Just as you must release harmful relationships, you must also let go of thoughts that sabotage your confidence and keep you stuck. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are the author of your future, and that means choosing what and who gets to influence your next chapter. Your energy is sacred. Protect it. Choose relationships that nourish, not drain. Choose conversations that build, not break. And most importantly, choose yourself. Not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. Because when you finally let go of toxic influences, you make room for peace, purpose, and the kind of growth that lasts a lifetime. Transformation is not a single moment of change. It's a continuous process that unfolds over time, often in small, quiet steps. In a world that glorifies instant results, fast progress, and overnight success, it's easy to feel frustrated when your own journey doesn't move as quickly. But real, lasting transformation doesn't happen in an instant. It requires patience, intention, and consistent effort. It is not about waking up one day and becoming a new person. It's about making daily choices that slowly shift who you are and how you live. We often think of change as something dramatic, a major event, a powerful breakthrough, a complete turnaround. But in reality, transformation is much more subtle. It happens when you choose to think differently, when you respond to challenges with more grace, when you set a boundary where you once stayed silent. These seemingly small acts build upon each other over time, shaping a stronger, wiser, and more authentic version of yourself. The process of transformation can be messy. There will be days you feel energized and hopeful, ready to take on the world. And there will be days where you feel stuck, lost, or defeated. That's part of it. Progress isn't a straight line. It's filled with setbacks, restarts, and learning curves. What matters is not how fast you move, but how committed you remain. Even when you don't see visible results, the inner work is happening. Your mindset is shifting, your resilience is growing, your foundation is being rebuilt. Patience is essential in this process. We live in a culture of instant gratification where everything is designed to be quick and easy, but your personal growth is not a product with a delivery date. It's a journey that requires you to slow down, reflect, and be kind to yourself along the way. Some days, the most important progress you'll make is choosing not to give up, and that alone is enough. Taking small steps each day is more powerful than trying to leap toward perfection. You don't need to change everything at once. Start with what you can control. Wake up a little earlier, drink more water, read one page, replace one negative thought, have one honest conversation. These small intentional acts create momentum, and that momentum compounds over time, creating a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Transformation also requires trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust in the belief that you are capable of change. Doubt will come, so will fear, but you must keep going anyway. Remind yourself that every great transformation begins with a single step, and each step you take is evidence of your courage and commitment. The process won't always be pretty. It won't always feel rewarding in the moment, but it is working. Every challenge you face, every emotion you confront, every lesson you learn is molding you into the person you're meant to become. Stay patient, stay committed, and remember, transformation is not about racing to the finish. It's about showing up for yourself, one day, one choice, one step at a time. Rebuilding yourself is not a destination. It's a lifelong journey of growth, self-awareness, and courageous change. It begins the moment you acknowledge that your current reality no longer reflects who you truly are or who you aspire to be. From that moment on, every choice, every step, every small act of courage becomes part of your transformation. This path requires patience, because true change doesn't happen overnight. It demands that you step out of your comfort zone and let go of what's familiar but no longer serves you. It calls for deep reflection, emotional honesty, and the willingness to face hard truths. Along the way, you'll be challenged, stretched, and tested, but you'll also be strengthened. Through self-awareness, you learn to understand your patterns and gain control over your life. By letting go of toxic influences, you create space for peace, growth, and supportive relationships. And by embracing the discomfort of the unknown, You unlock the power within you to rise stronger and more aligned with your purpose. Every step you take, no matter how small, matters. Each decision to keep going, even when it's hard, is a victory. You may stumble, you may fall, but every setback is a lesson, and every lesson moves you forward. In the end, rebuilding yourself is the most empowering act of self-love you can commit to. It's about creating a life that reflects your values, your truth, and your potential. You are not bound by your past. You are not limited by your current circumstances. You are being shaped, day by day, into the person you were always meant to become. So honor the journey. Be patient with the process. And never stop becoming. Because the most powerful version of you is already within you, waiting to be rebuilt step by step. Ask ChatGPT.